get the 2023 Clownfish comic books, including Crimson Red Volume 1 and previously on Clownfish TV. We're offering a limited number of these books. In our second chance offer, go to shopclownfish.com. That's shopclownfish.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And I can't believe we're going to talk about comic books again. We're going to talk about the comic book industry again.
I can't believe that these are what the mainstream media are putting out now.
Yeah, this is coming from Comic Book Resources. Why DC and Marvel Comics need to bring back political diversity.
No. Do they actually mean political diversity? Or
yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say it wasn't like by that I mean far left or just slightly like right of far left or
No, they're talking about how historically comic book characters and comic book creators have had different political opinions, and maybe we need to go back to that.
And all the ones on the right were villains, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I was like, that's what they're gonna say.
Recently, yeah, pretty much recently.
Like, back in the day, that's what they're gonna argue.
So this kind of goes into a bigger issue, and we're gonna talk about this. That I think it's over. I think it's mostly over. This whole anti-Comicsgate or Comicsgate thing. People getting blacklisted from conventions for political wrongthink. I think most of it, I think, is over. Now, you're still going to have pockets of people that are going to hold grudges. You're still going to have conventions in certain parts of the country that are not going to like certain creators because of their political affiliation. But for the most part, I think we are on the other side of the worst of it. All of the drama that's been going on for the last 5 or 6 years plus, I think we're on the other side of it. And I've got some things I want to bring up. We'll talk about. But this article coming from Comic Book Resources, I got to give a hat tip to Wes from Thinking Critical. That's where I saw it. I mean, I about fell out of my chair.
I know, right?
I was like, this never would have happened.
It's safe now. Just a couple years
safe.
ago, they would never have written this. And if they had, they would have got their asses kicked. Or people would have been like trying to lynch them. Not that, because a lot of YouTubers know all about that. And
yeah,
now that it's safe, they'll say it.
Now it's safe to think and rationalize and write like a normal person again. These are the kinds of articles we would have seen on a site like Comic Book Resources 10 or 15 years ago. So yeah, we're going to talk about all this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo.
Woohoo!
So again, coming from CBR, the site formerly known as Comic Book Resources, why DC and Marvel Comics need to bring back political diversity. DC and Marvel superheroes have a complicated history with politics. It's good characters like Wonder Woman, Superman, etc. have opinions. They have actual opinions. And they go in to talk about this, and they're talking about how politics in comics have been very ham-fisted. So they're talking about Civil War and how that was like two different ideologies and how they deal with a political hot button issue. Now, lately in Marvel and DC Comics, especially Marvel Comics, there's only been one side, one correct opinion. And all the good guys had to have that one correct opinion. But they were like, yeah, what happened to all these characters that had actual political diversity? These characters were all different people with different opinions depending on their backgrounds.
In the real world, it's not just black and white. Like, that's what gets me in about liking shows. Like, you have to like it or you have to hate it, or you're a no good, no terrible person. And it's like, there's a lot of people that might like certain elements of it, not like other elements of it. There are people who like agree with, part of each side. This happens all the time. There's lots of gray areas.
Yeah.
In everything. And anymore, it's like you are either this or that. There's no in between. And unfortunately, most people fall in the in between and they're sick of it.
Well, what happened was a lot of these heroes, even though historically they have had certain philosophies and political leanings, they had become mouthpieces for activists, and you had to have one side of the aisle at all times. These were the good guys. Anybody that deviates from this ideology, they are bad guys. So all of our heroes, even though they've maybe never shown any inclination to espouse these politics, now all of a sudden they are far left too, because they have to be, because that's what the good guys are.
Meanwhile, they also have a lot of stereotyping bullshit in the cause of this, like by Odin's Fade, and it's Mexican Heritage Month. So everybody's got a bag of tacos or
Yeah, right.
Whatever they had, burritos, whatever they had. You know what I'm saying? It's just like there's a lot of stereotyping in there.
So he said that superheroes superhero groups are comprised of unique individuals who contend with relatable problems. Fans could see that most issues weren't so cut and dried that superheroes would never argue about them. Comics aren't a good platform for escalating political arguments or even particularly good places for promoting any specific political theory, since they can devolve into propaganda without warning.
Yeah,
what?
But they're going to say propaganda on one side.
I think, like you said, it's safe now. It's safe to come out and say that, hey, because before the narrative had been for years, that all the politics have to be left wing because, well, don't you know that all the people that create these characters, and since they're coded a certain way, they're obviously far left. You just weren't paying attention. You're too busy being a Nazi to realize that you should be punched like a Nazi.
Right.
And now all of a sudden we've got CBR coming out and saying like, hey, yeah, let's have some political diversity with our superheroes. You weren't allowed to say that.
No,
you were not allowed to say that.
A year ago, you couldn't say this.
And I think now it's safe. And that kind of brings me to Comic-Con this year. Okay. And this for me is this is one of the...
oh yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah, this particular situation at Comic-Con for me means it's effing over. All of this drama, all of this infight. Look, you're still going to have people that don't like each other. You're still going to have people that disagree politically.
You always did, though.
You always did.
Understand is that if you haven't been in the scene until now when you're a comics kid or whatever, it was like that for years. There was a lot of people who didn't like other people. And all you did was you go to the same event, you just made sure you're in different places, and you just let the event know who you didn't want a table next to. And they would usually try their best to make sure there was no conflict.
Some
could come though.
Yeah, some applications actually would have like, hey, is there anybody you don't like?
Right.
People have beefs over, politics. They have beefs over
jobs.
There are people that work together on books that don't like each other. There are people that had disagreements over, the rights issues for different books. I mean, this has been going on for decades. There are people that don't like certain editors. They don't want to be next to those people. The newest wrinkle, though, has been the political angle and all the drama going on. And I think that all social media did was put a huge spotlight on pre-existing issues. And then we had new people come into the fold that were more politically minded. I think that a lot of people that had been in comics for a number of years, and it just threw some kerosene on the fire. And I think a lot of fans were privy to conversations that never would have been held publicly. Yeah, these people might have hated you behind the scenes, but they were never going to come out and tell you they hated you. They're just like, freaking whatever.
Well, now they think if you vote differently, that gives them a right.
Right.
Or they think you vote. They don't even know half the time. They just make assumptions based on, even if you're speaking and maybe you're not politically aligned with them, but because you're a normal, rational person, you see a lot of bullshit and you say, wait, that's weird. That just automatically makes you, you're just like they are. It's like, no.
Well, how a lot of this really got kicked off, for those of you who don't know, it really started with comic book professionals trying to gatekeep the comic book industry, trying to keep a certain YouTuber out of the industry altogether because they did not like his videos, because his videos were critical of a lot of the books that they worked on, their friends worked on, whatever. There wound up being a lawsuit with Mark Waid. It was a whole thing. You can Google that. That's a whole thing. And then this led to years of back and forth. And if you were seen talking to those people, you were not allowed to go to events.
Whisper networks and all these other
There
networks.
were whisper networks. I mean, we're talking like full on comic book McCarthyism.
Well, like I said before, heroes don't work in the shadows.
No. So anyway, fast forward to this year, and we've got Eric July and several other YouTubers attending Comic-Con with very little issue. Very little, not none. Mm-hmm. We have Tony Isabella, who's a comic book veteran, trying to get Eric July canceled from Comic-Con. He was tweeting up a storm about it. And
why?
Because he was offended.
Offended by what?
He was offended that Eric July would be allowed to go sign comics at the Comic-Con.
So wait, was he white guy was mad that the black guy was at the Comic-Con?
Yes, the white guy was mad that the black comic book creator was coming to the comic book convention because he was apparently
But somehow the black comic book creator is the one who's at fault.
Yes, he's
Okay.
he's a white supremacist. The black comic book creator is a white
internal.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm
right.
internalized misogynist. Yes. Okay.
So everybody tried to get well, by everybody I mean the usual suspects tried to get them canceled because this has worked before. It's worked before at Emerald City Comic Con. They tried to get them canceled. Remember Scott Kurtz tried to get Ethan Van Sciver canceled from what was it, Garden State Comic Con? That didn't work.
I think Scott Kurtz is just trying to find his relevancy. He lost that a long time ago.
So, yeah, he did. He did.
I'm sorry.
So Tony Isabella, to be honest. I mean, I used to like Tony Isabella. I'd read his column. He'd do this column. I used to read it. But this is a guy who created a black superhero, a white guy who created a black superhero, saying that Jack Kirby, a Jewish comic book creator, would have punched the black businessman if he were around today.
Why?
Because Twitter. Because
I was
Twitter
like,
drama.
but why? I mean, most people looking at this are going to be like, but why?
He's like, Jack Kirby would have punched him out. Come on, Comic-Con. Come on, Comic-Con. Would you
Wait,
like...
he's implying that people should go find this guy and beat him up.
He's not directly telling them to find him and beat them up. So there's plausible deniability, but he is putting out there that violence would solve this issue,
Well,
which several of these people have done.
That means to go beat them up.
So this kind of goes along with, one of the early examples of the online insanity with Mags Visaggio saying, hey, cis white dudes need to be hit with a ball bat.
Yes, I remember.
And it escalates. Now, one side calls for actual violence. The other side doesn't seem to really, I mean, they might make some crass jokes. They might say some stuff maybe I wouldn't say, whatever. But I don't recall any of the people on that side calling for physical violence against these people. And remember, we had guys like the Quartering get punched for going to Gen Con because, some of the people on Twitter, the perpetually online, the perpetually offended, did not think he had a right to be there.
Right. There was a lawsuit and they lost.
There's a
I'm
lawsuit.
just pointing that out.
So because...
No, don't go hitting people because they don't agree with you.
No, not at all. So Eric July apparently has some opinions on trans kids that Tony Isabella doesn't like. And he's like, I don't need to talk to you, whatever.
Have you not seen what happened with Hogwarts Legacy, dude?
Yeah, right.
Right. I'm just saying.
So he's like, instead of talking about it, because Isabella said he didn't want to talk about it. Eric said, I'll talk about it. And he said, instead, you're going after our partners and vendors. That's what they do. This has happened time and time again. I don't think it's working as well as it used to. They're trying to go after sponsors, trying to go after events, trying to get people canceled. And Comic-Con, to their credit, did not budge. They did not budge. So anyway, fast forward to today or yesterday, and Tony Isabella is actually apologizing because I think his peers said, dude, you've taken it way too far.
Yeah, you're
taking it too far.
You're sitting there saying that you're on the side of right, and you're against, bigotry and all that. Then you sit there and act like a bigot.
As you're like, look.
You did didn't you do a creative or black light? Isn't that a black character?
Yes.
How very dare you? You don't like that character. You shouldn't have created that character.
Cultural.
I don't believe that. I'm just making fun of it.
Cultural appropriation.
You turn it back on them. That's what I always do. When they start with the women, the shit, I always turn misogyny, button back on them because I don't think they're misogynist. But these people are so worried about being something, being labeled as something they're not, as they label everybody else something they're not, that if you give it back to them in that way, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? I'm not.
Oh, Tony would be, if he created Black Lightning today, he'd be canceled.
Probably.
They'd be like, how dare a white dude create a black superhero? He totally would get canceled. And look, I don't have any personal issues with Tony. I think I met him like one time at a con. But he's one of the guys that he went from being mostly normal to absolutely batshit
because
insane.
they wanted to keep their jobs.
Yeah. And, but look, he's apologizing. He said, I made a mistake. Early one morning, still groggy from a restless night.
But go ahead.
I posted that CGC, that's the comics grading company, and Comic-Con should not have supported an unsavory individual. It's not that the person isn't unsavory, but that was none of my business, and I regret it. That is true. You don't have to like everybody that goes to a convention. You don't have to support.
I was tired.
Yeah.
The cranky defense doesn't work here, dude. Sorry.
What was the defense that they got on Roseanne for using that she was popping pills or something?
I don't know.
They didn't take that one. So
sorry, officer. I didn't mean to stab that guy, but I didn't get enough sleep last night.
I was cranky.
My blood sugar was low.
My blood sugar was low, and I felt like I had to shoot a guy.
Oh, that's okay. We understand that. It's all good.
I don't regret my assessment of the person's character.
So basically, I don't regret my assessment. Wait. Here's my apology. I made a mistake because I was tired, and I said they shouldn't have supported this unsavory person who is unsavory because I don't regret my assessment of the person's character. So you're not apologizing at all. You're just making it look like you're apologizing. But you're still being an asshole.
I think somebody gave Mr. Isabella a talking to. I think somebody said, hey, Tony, this isn't a good look for you to be out there low-key kind of fantasizing about violence against a black dude who's coming to a Comic-Con. That is not a good look. For a guy who created a black superhero, that is not a good look.
But it gets better. I don't regret my assessment of this person's character or those of the Comicsgate goons who support him and his ilk.
His ilk.
But it wasn't my business, and it was a distraction from my own work. I should have known better. So his apology is, I was tired, so I talked shit about somebody from that's an unsavory person, and I don't regret my assessment. I don't regret anything I said. I was completely right. Him and his friends are goons, and they're terrible people. But my mistake was I took attention away from my own work. That's his apology. Dude!
I know what CG supporters are. I know.
Do you though? Because you often go around calling people Comicsgate who aren't even Comicsgate.
Oh my God. I'm more comfortable writing about the good things in comics, and we'll continue doing that.
What good things in comics? There aren't much left.
There's not much left.
And then when there is something that does well, you know what this thing is? Jealousy.
I'll also keep doing what I can for the innocent people being attacked by the criminal, treasonous right-wingers.
Okay, there's your apology. Criminal, treasonous right-wingers. In what way do you have proof of this? Do you have proof that Eric July is a criminal? Do you have proof that Comicsgate people are criminals? Do you have proof that that they commit treason? Because those are awfully big statements to make if you have no proof of such thing.
Look, nobody is asking you to like everybody that goes to a convention, right? But this whole canceling creators you don't like and fantasizing, hoping, wishing for violence to befall them because you don't like them over politics. This bullshit's got to end.
So let's get this straight. The white guy basically told the black guy he was unsavory, called him and his friends goons.
Yeah.
And then said that his commitment to remaining on the right side of history. You just called the black man a goon.
And said that Jack Kirby would have punched him out. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you know what the right side means. But I can't even with this. And then, of course, because we're saying this, everybody's like, you're Comicsgate. I'm automatically a Republican all the time, too, even though I'm not. But they keep labeling me that because it's so much easier. This is what this fucker's doing. Sorry, Tony Isabella, you're a fucker. Sorry. Here's what you're doing. You are deliberately trying to dehumanize people so you feel better for being an asshole. They deserve it because I don't like them, because I'm dehumanizing them. They personally doing, do you know? Did they do criminal or treasonous things that you can prove? No. But if you dehumanize them, then you think you're the hero in your mind. You're the hero.
I think it's more insidious than that. I don't know if it's Tony's deal or not, but I've seen it with other people. If they dehumanize certain online personalities, when somebody comes along and does something crazy, you can wash your hands of it. Like, we spent all this time dehumanizing this person. Well, they got what's coming to them because, you know, we already explained why they're not people, why they're less than people.
I don't know if it's that so much because that implies that someone, they deserve to get hit or whatever.
Oh yeah, deserve to get hit, deserve to lose their jobs, deserve to get doxxed, deserve to be harassed constantly. And look, you don't have to like.
Over what? Politics.
Over politics. Over
because you assume somebody is politically.
You don't have to like these people, but this is a guy who's been in comics for decades. You don't like somebody in comics, you go to your corner, they go to their corner, everybody just does their thing at the show. You don't have to ever have any association with them outside of that.
But just objectively looking at this, as somebody who's not big in comics and I don't know, I don't know him. I don't know Tony Isabella. Just somebody looking at this. He's a little bitch.
It looks fucking insane.
It looks insane.
It looks insane.
You're literally famous for making a black character, and then you're telling a black creator that they're a shitty person, not because they don't agree with you on like something politically.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you're going out there trying to cause people harm, telling people basically tell people to beat them up, calling them shit, saying you're apologizing because you didn't get your work done. Do you do any work anymore? Does this guy do any work anymore other than show up to conventions and complain on Twitter all day?
I was gonna say he tweets often.
Does he have does he have any gigs
I have no
right
idea.
Now?
I have no idea.
Who the fuck he is. So I mean, I
have no
heard the
idea.
name. I'm just saying. I'm like, dude, it's over something so stupid. You went and did this, and you look like an idiot now. You look like an unhinged idiot who's attacking black people. Way to go, Tony.
I think that somebody pulled him aside and said, Tony, this is a really bad look, dude. Like, you're going to destroy yourself trying to destroy this guy.
Nobody gets this salty unless they're personally mad about it. Like, they're jealous or they personally were, called out or offended by this person.
Well, I think what happened with the situation with Diversity in Comics, a.k.a. your boy Zach and Mark Waid, was he did bust Mark Waid's chops, I think, on a few comics that Waid worked on and a couple of Waid's friends worked on. So that was like that's what he needed.
But then Mark Waid, I remember, was getting in trouble because he was writing black characters and he was a white guy. But he said it was okay when he did it.
Yeah, I know. It's just, look, this is just...
I'm just saying, this is objectively looking at this as not somebody, I'm not involved in either side. I'm just looking at this like what was said. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, this is not look, I think this is mostly ending. I think people are realizing that it never goes the way they think it's going to go. What happens is the Streisand effect, right?
Yeah, it was dumb. He just made, he's going
to sell more copies of his book.
Bigger.
Yeah, he's going to sell more copies of his book now because he's got mainstream comics pros after him. And he's going to get invited to more conventions. And he's going to make more money. This happens every time. Every time they try to shut one of these guys down, right, it becomes a rallying cry, and they wind up making more money.
Right. They really want to shut people down. They should just shut their mouths.
Just pretend they're not there. If they offend you so much, just pretend they're not there.
I mean, there's people disagree with me all the time. Like, this guy, I think, is obviously a little bitch. But I would never want him to be, like, I wouldn't tell people to go hurt him. No. If I had to be in the same space with him, I would behave professionally. I would not, spend my time on Twitter, doing what he did.
I've been to conventions with people I don't like. We've been at conventions with people we don't like. I've had people we don't like come up to our table before. They didn't know it was me.
That wasn't our table. You've been at somebody else's table, and they came to the table thinking you're somebody else, and then about shit themselves when they found out who you were.
But, you carry yourself professionally in one of these settings. You don't have to work with a person. Nobody's telling you have to work with them. Nobody's telling you have to like them. Nobody's telling you have to buy their book or go to their panel or any of this stuff. I mean, there's some other crazy stuff too. I guess John Delarose, who writes for Bounding in the Comics too, said that he went to the IDW panel and they were pissed off that he was at the IDW panel as a journalist trying to take notes because he's been critical of IDW. I'm like,
well, what the hell? List?
Oh, they have a list.
Pictures and you have to memorize them? Is there a test?
It's ridiculous. I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous. I think it is ending. And, I think the vast majority of people, we always talk about the 80-20 rule. 80% of the people are mostly normal and they kind of vary across the political spectrum, right? And then you got 10% extremists on both ends. I think the tired middle,
so 20 total, because you said 80 and 10. You meant 10% on each side.
Did I say that? I probably did say that. I don't know. My math is not good today. I'm tired. My math's not good. Now I'm going to go threaten people.
You better go insult people because you're allowed to now.
Threaten some people.
You're cranky. It's a cranky.
Cranky. But no, I think what's going on is
Snickers.
I think most people, and even most people in the comic book industry, I think they actually agreed that this was all nonsense, and it was a handful of people causing the problems. And a lot of those people have actually blown themselves up. They've actually blacklisted themselves from the comic book industry. You don't hear a lot about Mags Visaggio much anymore.
Well, a lot of the Whisper Network people, we're hearing that people know who they are and they're not hiring them. It's just, I think people are just tired of it. They just want to everything go back to normal,
Or about as normal as it can be. And like I said, nobody's asking you to like everybody, like every creator, like everybody's takes on things, whatever. But for the most part, just make it about the comics. Buy what you like. Don't buy what you don't like. And that's it. This isn't hard. This isn't hard. Why is it so damn hard? I think it's over. I think it's mostly over. Again, they tried to get people banned from Kickstarter and Indiegogo. That didn't work very well. They tried to get people banned from previews. I know some Comicsgate adjacent creators who have their books in previews now. I know some comic shops. They're selling those books and having those creators in. Now, do I expect that in Portland? No. No, I do not. But for the most part, it seems like the worst of it is over. Now, at this point, on the other side of it, you got to take the W and be like, okay, now it's time to hunker down and make good comics, right?
Yeah, because at the end, I was just gonna say, at the end of the day, it doesn't really effing matter because the Western comic industry is getting their asses kicked.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the king of the crap.
I'm the king.
You're still king of just crap. So
King of the crap. All right, so we're gonna wrap this one up. So that's my take on this. I think this is a CODA for comics. This comics drama.
what, king of crap?
King of the
Or
crap.
queen of crap? I'm not gonna, assume.
Please subscribe for more quality content like this here on Clownfish TV. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.